Good. I'm good.
Yeah, you're good?
Looking forward to the show.
Yeah, me too. Really looking forward to it. We're getting into the groove now, so it's really good. Yeah, exactly. Okay, again, I did a little intro actually, but there might be some people that have not met you. If you just want to introduce yourself very briefly, again, that would be great.
Okay. Well, I'm Nicholas David Nan of the Centre for Conscious Ascension, and Jenny has very kindly put together this whole show, the Ascension Live Show, so we can discuss the concepts of ascension. And conscious ascension means embodying our higher consciousness, our truth, our love, and clearing the illusory human ego patterns within our human avatar, so that we can embody and express that consciousness in the world and rise in consciousness collectively. That's what I do. I've been doing this for nearly 30 years now, and my role is to help you align with where your soul wishes to take you, so you can consciously ascend and live a more fulfilling life and help others do the same. That's why I'm here.
This comes to me, I'd like to say this. I was a frustrated light worker, not in disguise, but kind of not fully activated before I met Nicholas. And when I met Nicholas, things changed.
You did a lot, didn't it?
And here I am today doing this live show. So, first-hand experience, I can just say that this stuff works, because I'm not the same person as I was 10 years ago. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
It's been quite a journey.
Huh?
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, it has. And so I'm very grateful for all that, of course. So, lovely topic today, abundance. I think before we go into it, maybe, it's a very widely used word, and it's mainly associated with money and success, as from a sort of a, the reader view, if you go and you interact on social media, etc. But I'd like to talk about the energy actually of abundance, and actually I'd like you to tell the viewers what it actually means on a much larger scale.
Okay, we can do that. Our 3D world has been very much corrupted by the introduction of money many thousands of years ago. And we tend to think, or being brainwashed thinking, that having more money is better. I'm not saying anything political here, just an energetic thing. And so we tend to focus on making, or program to make as much as possible, and keep as much as possible, and acquire as much as possible. But money is just a means of exchange for goods and services, really. And it's not abundance in the truest sense. We are each sparks of the divine, came from source, all it is. We came into these bodies and we forgot who we were initially. We went to sleep, and then we woke up in these avatars, or these human earth suits, as I sometimes call them, and we felt disconnected from the abundance of all it is, higher consciousness, its love and flow. And that's the beginning of feeling unworthy to be loved, beginning to feel lack of trust in the flow in life, because there is actually an energetic disconnect. And our job, or the point of coming here, was to reconnect to that higher consciousness, to open to the abundance, the love of all that is. And that's where the true abundance in life comes from. And so it comes from within us. It's not something externally out there that we have to manipulate, control, compete for at all. But if we're opened to source within us by doing our conscious work, then the flow of life will come to us. Just by opening, letting go, and trusting, especially having an open heart is very important for that. So that's how I would describe abundance. And everything you need would come on an as-needed basis if you get clear enough.
Yeah. So really, because there is enough. If you just open to this flow, there is enough for everybody.
There is, because we tend to think of abundance, again, as material possessions or money in the bank or securities or whatever. But this reality...
It's important, you know, it's important we have security, but that's just an extension.
Yeah, yeah. But the point I'm getting to is all the external 3D abundance that we perceive as being abundance is not real abundance. It's just an external manifestation in this reality. This reality is actually a projection of consciousness. It's like a three-dimensional projection screen. And we are creating our reality around us based upon what's programmed in us and what's embodying through us from the higher dimensions. And so it's just a projection of consciousness, really. And so it's actually quite illusory, the 3D abundance. But if we are clear enough within ourselves and open to higher consciousness, then what happens is that higher consciousness comes through us and out an open heart or opening heart, and then into the reality, and the reality rearranges around that. So that's why things start to turn up in our lives and start to flow more. We start to be in the flow as we align to this higher consciousness coming to us. And that's where magical things happen in life. Things turn up, people turn up, opportunities turn up where you think that's impossible, that couldn't happen, but it comes because it comes from within us, because we're opening to allow it to flow through us. And then it's actually turning up and manifesting around us. That's actually true abundance. It doesn't come from taking it from other places, people, or entities in this reality. It comes from opening to it, and then it appears before us. But it already exists in the higher dimensions. That's why there is an infinite flow in the end, because it's not limited to this dimension.
Exactly. Oh, that's perfect, really, because what is then holding us back is our programming.
Yes.
We don't open up.
Yes, our ego programming that creates a sense of separation from all that is the one thing holding it back.
Yes.
Like when Christ manifested the fishes and loaves, he'd spent 12 years in the desert clearing himself of all his ego programming, or most of it.
Yeah.
And his intention was that it will be there, and because he was clear enough, it was. And we can all do that. He actually says that.
It's instant manifestation as well.
This is what he's actually talking about.
Yeah. So from an energy perspective, I think we've touched on this now already, but from an energy perspective, how can we create more abundance in our lives?
The first thing is to move away from the materialistic programming that we were imprinted with in the Matrix, to stepping away from that and moving to a higher consciousness place of aligning to, well, what is my soul purpose or destiny? What am I here meant to really do? What am I here to really do? And aligning to that. Because when we're in alignment with a natural core flow where our soul wants to go, life opens and flows, and therefore abundance follows in terms of love, money, ideas, opportunity will just come because you're in the flow. Whereas most of us are initially programmed to be in our left brain, very rational, scientific-based thinking, and we try and figure it out, make it happen, force it, rather than letting go and surrendering, allowing the natural alignment to come. It's just the nature of 300 or 400 years of scientific method, which was created to separate us from spirit, really. So alignment is first priority, and as you get aligned with spirit, your ego programs, which are trying to keep you asleep, will come up and try and stop you in that alignment. But as you get clear of those gradually, we use to think of divine healing to get clear with that. We use to think of soul contract reading, which is based upon analyzing our name, birth name with Hebrew, to actually work out what's the true soul purpose of this life. When we align with that true soul purpose or soul destiny, and we clear the programs with something like divine healing or EFT or whatever healing technique you like to use. And when you're in that flow of that alignment and you start focusing on manifesting what is in your heart, where the soul wants to go, it's much more likely to turn up.
Yeah.
Okay, it's going to because that's where the soul wants to go. So there's soul energy, there's higher consciousness energy behind it. Then it will start to appear, provided you're clear enough emotionally. And most of the stuff that we need to clear is subconscious. We cannot actually figure it out. We actually have to feel it out. You have to focus on where we want to go, in line with the soul, and that focus will then flush out all the ego programs trying to stop us.
Yeah.
And we get a threshold, and we hit a certain level of clearing, and things start to appear.
Exactly.
They can seem like magic, but actually, you probably work pretty hard for it to get them.
What's actually coming to me, because there will be people listening thinking, oh, where do I start? But to me, it sounds like we all want to have security. We all want to have a good life. We all want to go on holidays. We want to be financially free. We want to have, easy and loving relationships. We want to have a lovely job. Like all these things. But you would say that the first thing to focus on, if those things are not working, or 2 or 3 of them are not working, go back to the purpose. Go back to what, connect, spiritual practice to connect to your message, right?
You've got to get aligned to where you really want to go first.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Most people are not aligned simply because they don't have access to what the soul really wants to do initially. But it's about finding out what that is.
What I mean. So I just want to sort of, for those who are listening, thinking, well, where do I start? And that is, again, the same, right? Go back to where, if we can find a way to connect to our soul calling or message that we feel like we want to share with the world, or some craft that, we want to do and share, that is really the key.
Yeah, it's what opens your heart the most. And what opens my heart the most is helping others awaken and come on their path.
Yeah.
And it's not work for me. It's play. It's serious play, but that's what I love doing. And then because I do that, the universe supports me.
Yes.
And getting that message out there and sharing the tools through practitioner trainings and workshops.
Yeah.
So people can do that. So that's the first step. Because you'll go up to the poll actually, and 87% of people are emotionally disconnected from their work, which means they aren't in alignment with the soul, which is pretty serious. That means that probably most people, simply because we're lying for a margin of error. So we've got very disconnected in our Western scientific mind from aligning to the soul.
Yeah.
And that's where we use the soul contract reading work to actually work out what is that true path. And once you understand what that is, then you can start to align to it, and light does open and flow.
Exactly.
I used to be in the corporate world, and I wasn't very aligned with my flow. And then one day, 22 years ago, I woke up and it was like, I can't do this anymore. It's killing me. And then I realized I had to leave that world of, quote, security and align with my true purpose, which is doing this work, which is teaching and healing and awakening people.
Well, the same thing happened to me. I was working in hospitality. Although I'm a service soul, it did sort of match up with the service bit, because in hospitality you're serving. But it got to the point, actually, I felt physically sick to go into work because it was not in alignment. And so same as you. And then I found, straight into the courses, different courses, try to find out, what it was I was supposed to be doing. So, so I can really relate to this story, because I had the same, just slightly different. But so if you don't feel good about where you're going into work, or do your uttermost to try align with your soul calling and your heart desire, because it's always going to turn out okay for you. This is something I've discovered as well. Just tell me a little bit about that. When we trust and go into our go into our heart's desire, how the universe has your back, what happens?
Yeah, it's about letting go and trusting, which takes a lot. I found I was a control freak, still am on some things, and letting go and trusting that if it's meant to happen, it will.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then you're probably happy. You're better off it didn't happen. What the ego mind wanted to create. So the more we trust, and the more I see evidence of the universe stepping in and providing what I need, the more I let go, it becomes a positive feedback loop, and actually, fascinating things come up because I'm really interested to see how it's going to manifest. Not if it will turn up, how is it going to turn up, and what's it going to do?
Yeah.
Because the dance of the universe is really fascinating, especially when I let go, and having to be a certain way, and it works out. And if my position now is that if I'm a spark of the divine, I'm connected to all that is. If I just trust and let go, the universe has got it organized, and the more I let go, the more organized it appears to be. Actually, and so after a while, I was thinking, well, this wouldn't have started if there wasn't going to be a positive outcome, and there'd be no point because the universe is very efficient. So I just trust, and then the most amazing things happen. Life transforms, people turn up, opportunities turn up, and everything's looked after. Bills are paid for, and most of the time doing this work for full-time for the past 22 years, I used to not trust, and so it was a struggle, but it took me a long time to let go and trust. And the more I relaxed, the better it gets.
The more you relax, the more you receive.
Yeah, but relax from a place of trust. That's a big one, really.
But again, that's like a muscle again. The more we trust, the more that trusting muscle becomes stronger.
Yeah.
If you do it a few times and then it works out, everything seems to be in order.
Yep.
You will do it again. So for those who are watching and feel that trust might be an issue, just have a go on something smaller and trust it, and then build up this muscle.
Yeah.
And it will work out.
I feel letting go attachment to the outcome of something in personal relationships and with work and things like that is really important, because when we have an ego attachment, we're not trusting, and actually that limits the universe and what it can actually present to us. But when we let go and have surrender and have no outcome, no attachment to the outcome either way, that's when the magic happens. That's what I've discovered.
Yeah.
It's taken me actually a long time to get there. I'm not saying it's easy, but actually that's the place to be when everything is provided.
Exactly, because the energy, when we attach to something, if anyone just put themselves in that situation of being attached, it's quite constrictive energy.
It's very painful.
Painful energy, isn't it? It's not like open and flowy and relaxed. It's kind of the opposite. It's
pretty tight, and it's like it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Tiring.
And tiring, yes.
It's a lot of juice into it.
Yeah, it takes so much of your energy. So it's just really to, if you find it hard to trust, just have a go and kind of, on something smaller, and then the more results, or the more that it works out for you, the easier it's going to be to trust next time. I think this is a big one for a lot of people.
I'd say so. Yeah, it's been a big one for me.
Well, it's a big one for me. As again, much easier these days than it was 10 years ago. But yeah, definitely something that needs to be practiced continuously. Okay, wonderful. So the law of attraction and abundance go hand in hand. Can you explore or explain?
Yeah, we've touched on a lot of this already, but the law of attraction is basically saying that whatever you feel or think is going to manifest before you. But the bit you've got to watch out for is what you subconsciously feel and think, which is probably 80-90% of what turns up for you, and a lot of it initially is not so good. So whereas you consciously may say, well, I'd like this house or this business to be this way, or this perfect partner, but underneath me might feel unworthy and disempowered, and I'm going to get rejected, or I'm not really receiving that. Those are the bits you've got to work on, all the hidden stuff.
Yes.
And under the iceberg, emotional iceberg. And when you clear that, and if you're in alignment with the soul, as I was saying, then it's much more likely the good stuff will turn up where you're consciously focusing on it.
Yeah.
And what will happen is that the hidden stuff starts to turn up when you do focus on what you desire, and then you can use that to focus on what you desire as a means of flushing out the hidden stuff. And that's the key to actually creating abundance.
Yes.
In alignment with the soul, in the broadest sense we've been talking about. It's absolutely critical, because you can say or believe whatever you want consciously, but if deep down you feel no one's ever going to be for me because of what happened when you're at 5 months old, then that's all you're going to get. No one's ever going to be there, or nothing's going to be there.
Yeah.
No matter what the conscious mind says.
And that the subconscious always wins over the conscious mind.
Well, it's because it's by its very nature.
It by its nature just bypasses.
Yep.
So it's kind of, we cannot even trick it.
No.
Not with sheer willpower, not with more manifestation, more intention. It will not bypass it.
Yeah.
No, I've had a lot of clearings myself the last few months, and things pop up from the past, or something that I can remember but comes up, and I clear it, because obviously it's coming up to the surface. And I would advise anyone watching the show that if it comes up, it's come up to clear, because otherwise you wouldn't be thinking about it. And
you probably should have the tools are probably close by to actually clear it, otherwise it couldn't have come up.
Yes.
You may need to stretch a bit and move from. I mean, most human egos avoid emotional pain, and if they are aware of a bit of work, they can also judge it as being bad, and that makes it stronger, the program which you're trying to flush out. But the key is just to accept it for what it is, just to love ourselves unconditionally. Say, okay, this is just my program. This is part of the experience. Bring our feeling consciousness into the program, and that's when things start to change, because all the soul wants to experience through us is the visceral emotional shift from feeling, say, unworthy to feeling worthy. That's actually the point of being embodied, to go through all these shifts in consciousness and feeling, and the soul learns from that, and it's stored in the cellular memory, and then things start to flow a bit better.
Wonderful. There might be some people are familiar with the soul contract numbers, but I wanted you to talk a little bit about the number 4 and 13, because these two numbers are associated with the flow of abundance and the flow of receiving, just the flow of the divine, if you like, in the system. So could you do that?
Yeah. The subcontract reading system is based on using 22 Hebrew letters, which have the corresponding 22 Hebrew numbers associated with them, and they're particular frequencies of the Creator, and they can be decoded from our birth certificate name. And the 13 actually represents the divine feminine aspect of God. It's the energy of this new age, really. It's about pure unconditional love. And when we're working with that energy, it's about moving to a place of healing the heart so it opens up enough so we can just feel that unconditional love for ourselves and everyone else, which is actually very challenging to do. Most of us have quite wounded hearts from just being in a body. But the key with that 13 energy is to drop into the divine feminine aspect of our heart, both for men and women, and feel, what is our soul telling us? What's the soul feeling in us of what we wish to create next? What's the next right action? And if we drop into that and feel that, and bring that energy out in consciousness and intend it out into the world, and let it go with the 4, which goes with the 13. 1 + 3 = 4. The 4 is about trusting in the flow. The flow of abundance will come to us in the greatest possible sense, the flow of nature. That's love, money, ideas, concepts. And in letting go our intention out to the world and trusting, having no attachment to it, which is what a 4 does, the more we trust, and the more we're heart-centered, it will eventually turn up. Because we've intended it, but we don't have an attachment to the intention. That's the key. And when we just still stay in the moment, we'll let it go, and we have no expectation, or we minimize our expectation that it has to come to us. When we let go of the intention, in any control or grasping, it has to come. I'm expecting it. When we gradually let all that go, then it does come. It's 100% let go, 100% let go of attachment and expectation. We just be in the heart. Then things start to turn up. And they will often rearrange really, really quickly once we let things go. From my own experience of things I've really desired to have. So I've learned really to have no expectation, have no attachment to the outcome either way, and just see what the universe brings to me. But it's taken a lot of hard work, a lot of practice. It's
a lot of practice. But actually, if anyone are watching and just think, oh, actually do a practice now and just say, okay, I'm just going to let go of that attachment to X, Y, and Z or an outcome. That energy is wonderful. So that energy is just magical.
Brings a lot of peace.
Peace, stillness.
Minimal struggle. Minimal making it happen. Minimal control. Preferably none of the above.
No control. Just letting it, allow it to happen, isn't it?
Yeah. Because then it will unfold in divine order, because our little human ego believes it knows what's going on, it's in charge, but actually its level of consciousness is nothing like the vastness of our higher consciousness, which is much vaster than us here. And if we just allow it to do its job, then life's experience is gradually transformed to something pretty amazing and wonderful.
So really the energy of the 13-4 is actually penetrating the earth, I would say. This is the energy of raising in consciousness, right?
Well, it is. We're heading back to unity consciousness in this ascension process, and it is basically the pure love of the divine feminine, which is becoming more. It's rebalancing itself, and more it's increasing on us in the high dimensions, but it's coming through each of us.
Yes.
So there's more of it available than ever before. We just got to open to it with our hearts.
So this is like how rapid awakenings are happening with people now who would have considered themselves almost not spiritual, not connected before.
Yes, so people are suddenly waking up and looking at their lives, feeling, well, what have I been doing? I've been asleep. Like in the Matrix, Neo wakes up and they're searching for answers and searching for opening, and the key is to open the heart and allow the higher consciousness to come through. And the more you bring through and the clearer you are, the more it can consciously guide you in each moment. And we follow that guidance. It's a feeling-based thing. What opens my heart the most in each moment? And the more we follow that guidance and what we do and say, the more magic happens, the more our life becomes fulfilling, because we're in the right place at the right time, doing or saying the right thing, and the universe responds accordingly. It's a real dance. It's called following the spiritual signature.
Yes. And
when we're aligned with that, rather than following what the left brain wants to do, we're following our flow of our spirit, and life really opens. And it's completely different to the way we're conditioned, especially in the West. This is how we used to live, by following the flow of the heart, following the flows of nature.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, from a personal experience, because everyone is at different stages, because some people would have already had a lot of spiritual connection and worked on themselves. Perhaps some people maybe just started their journey. From a personal experience, this is what I can share really, because when I first had in my 20s, all I did know was that what you were just saying. I could feel something in my heart, and I could only just go for that direction, or kind of just try to follow it, but I had no idea where I was going to end up or what it's going to look like. But actually I trusted it. And some people will be there now, they're just getting to this stage now and go, right, okay, I need to trust this.
Yeah.
So I would really recommend you, if you're watching, to trust it, because it will turn out, Spirit will show you. But for me, it was, 20 years ago, that's where I was. And the same with you, Nicholas, wasn't it? So
I took a big leap of faith in leaving my corporate job, but I was terrified. I knew I had to do it, so my trust level wasn't very high. But it's been worked on thoroughly in the intervening years, to the point where it's a lot easier. I had a lot of fear in letting go, but I've got there gradually, and everyone has their own journey of moving into opening the heart and trusting the flow. But we're all meant to do that eventually. Then life will open in a completely different way.
Yeah, no, the key is to trust it, isn't it? And go with what feels true in the heart, because you'll end up in the right place.
Yeah, and take action based upon what comes through your heart. Sometimes it just means being still. Other times you have to take quite clearly decisive action. So it's not about not doing anything,
No,
but it's doing the right thing at the right time.
Yeah, you've got to take action. If that is leaving a job and do what you believe is going to be like a new business or something, then plan it and do it. Yeah.
Definitely. So it does require a bit of sort of divine masculine action and use of power to make things happen as well.
Yeah, a bit of strategy. Save some money up. Do your plan how you're going to do it, and then great, wonderful. Okay, so the universe. I think we've touched on this now, but the universe is infinite, and the flow of abundance is unlimited. This is a rational concept. We know this from science as well. But when it does not feel or appear this way, what is the very first thing we need to do? Because I see a lot of crisis in people's lives, right? It's hard sometimes to connect to the flow, and when things are hard. What's the very first thing?
The first thing is to be aware consciously of how you feel about it. What is what I call a gateway emotion, is what we call it in divine healing. Yeah. What is coming up? Is it fear? Is it unworthiness? There's something there blocking it, and then bring
anger,
Then it could be some childhood pre-verbal thing of trying to control everything because that's the only way you survive, and you won't even be aware of it. But it's working with whatever strong emotional gateway emerges in that situation, which is stressing you around abundance, and bringing consciousness to it and clearing that issue. And that's what we do with divine healing, for example. And then when you do that, then you find the flow starts to open again. Sometimes it can be immediate. The phone starts ringing, or more emails come in, for my case, or booking things. So it's being present and grounded in the moment, whatever presents in the moment. It's not trying to go into the left brain and figure it out, because all you do is be figuring out stuff which may not be true half the time.
And become more stressful, probably.
Yeah, and what's the feeling in us? What's the feeling of the energy which is in the way, and just working with that, integrate it, get on with life, because where you want to go, and then do the next layer of whatever comes up, whenever it comes up. So that's actually how you open to unlimited flow, because if you keep doing that and completely clean the ego out, you'll become enlightened one day, because it's just about being present with what is, and having the right tools to actually clear what is in the way.
Yes.
And some of it, most of it is not accessible to the conscious mind, which will, and most of us try and figure it out, but it doesn't work that way. It's been hidden away deliberately so we don't wake up too quick.
Yes. There's a slow kind of wake up process, not so rapid.
There's no quick fix here.
Huh?
There's no quick fix, but it does get easier and quicker eventually as the clearer you get.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, a good thing, if a person is aware and thinking, yes, I do want to clear all my programs, I do want to clear what's coming up, a good way is to write it down, because sometimes you're kind of on the go. So you can write it down, and at least you collected what is coming up, and then you can access it later, because we all have busy lives. So I found this way myself, and with my clients I work with, I said write it down, because then you said, yes, I want to clear this. You committed also to saying yes, actually, that you wanted to clear it. That's just
bring consciousness to it.
Just bringing consciousness to it, and being able to be aware of it every day, and like not make a thing of it, but if it comes up, note it.
Yeah.
And then clear. Okay, cool. So when visualization and manifestation techniques don't work, so let's say people do their vision boards, or they keep visualizing, and they keep doing all the manifestation processes, and it doesn't work, could we talk a little bit about the technique and what needs to happen for it to actually work? I think we've kind of touched on it, but I'd like to go deeper.
I think the most important thing is to, when you're visualizing and manifesting something, is to feel it in the heart, or visualize it, whatever your strongest senses are, as if it's already done. And let the universe work out how to get there. But it also the manifestation has to always also be in alignment with where the soul wants to go. If it's not in alignment, it will never happen.
That's right.
Okay. And the way you tell it is if it opens your heart. It'll come to you from the soul. And then again, work with, as you use your manifestation techniques, be conscious of what comes up for you. Work with each layer of what comes up in the ego to stop you. Because the ego's programs will try and stay nice and quiet, sabotaging you. But if you really go for what you desire, rather than focusing on what the programs are, then they'll say, oh, we can't have that. So then they will start to show themselves, and that's when they're vulnerable. That's when you work with them. Okay. So it's usually it'd be one or two programs which are trying to stop something from happening.
Yeah.
Or the timing may not be right. It's the other thing like that. And if it may not be in alignment with the soul, then it's never going to turn up.
So another good question, or another thing that the viewers could do, so if they've been visualizing and putting in manifestation, this is something I've learned lately, is that if it doesn't turn up and it seems to be in alignment, you could ask yourself, do you really want this? You know, do you is it every single part of you that really wants this? Is there something else actually that you want that you haven't, explained to yourself, or, so and that could be also subconscious program can come up and say, oh, I don't want this because I feel like I'm going to, I don't know, lose my family if I get too busy or something. It could be another program.
Yes, so there can be programs to sabotage us, or sometimes we're not fully present and grounded. Well, what does that actually manifestation energy mean?
Yeah.
I've had some recently where I thought, well, that's what I desired. And when it turned out, I'm thinking, well, actually, I'm not so sure now.
No.
So I sort of hesitated, and then but it clarified what I really did desire, because the thing did turn up. And I think, well, I need to make some changes to this.
Yes.
It's not quite what this doesn't quite feel what I really want now. I hadn't realized what the implications of that manifestation meant in my life.
Yeah, so good questions to say is that, okay, my manifestation is X, Y, Z, this is what I would like. And then ask yourself, but what if? And then the subconscious programs could come up that we wouldn't be aware of. And then you actually realize, oh, these things are actually blocking me underneath, and I didn't even know.
Well, usually, you won't know what they are, otherwise you would have done something about it. Yeah.
It's just a process. So if anyone feels that they haven't been able to manifest yet, it's really to sit down and ask yourself, well, what if? What would happen when this happens? Because then obviously the subconscious will bubble up.
Yeah. Usually it's like many layers of subconscious programming trying to stop us, and you've just got to keep pressing on them and clearing them out layer by layer, then eventually things do turn up. So it does take time. There's actually no shortcut here.
No
matter what anyone says, you've got to do the work. You've got to peel the human ego, and the journey of peeling and transforming the human ego is actually why we've come. We've come to go from one lower consciousness state of having a lot of things we don't like in our life to going on the visceral feeling journey of transmuting the human ego layer by layer to getting what we do desire. And that's actually why the soul came. So it wants to have that visceral experience. The end point is not the aim of the whole thing. It's actually the experience of getting there, learning from it, and becoming more miraculously loving in the process, which is why our soul came, because it's the fastest way to learn, much faster than when we're in the higher dimensions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is why we're here, to do this journey.
Yeah, it is the journey that matters in this case.
And there's no shortcuts.
No, there are no shortcuts. No matter what anyone may tell you. You don't do the work, it doesn't turn up.
Might do, and then you lose it.
Well, it may be temporary, but you may pay a lot of money for something which is supposed to be a fast track, but a lot of the time it doesn't work. Because if you've got a program and you haven't cleared, it's the very thing stopping you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, wonderful. So when we actually are going through the challenges of life, they may be family issues, health, money issues, stories from the past, etc. It doesn't make you feel abundant, does it, when it's happening, because it's stressful. I'm sure everyone can relate to this. So what do you recommend we do? Because I don't expect anyone to have a completely bump-free journey. It's more how we deal with it. So what do you recommend that we do? Because no one is exempt.
The key when it gets very stressful or fearful, or in these situations where it feels like your back is up against the wall, is to know that there is a pathway through there. There is a key to unlock the situation, even though it may not appear to your conscious left brain there's any way out and you feel trapped and you're really in trouble. I've been in a few of these places strongly over many of the years. But the key is to turn into the strongest negative emotion that's running and turn towards it and move into it and bring consciousness to it and expand that consciousness. Because when you feel that layer, you're going to get to the core program behind that and then clear those programs. That's the key. Because once fear, for example, just comes from the ego mind. Because remember, we're creating our entire reality each moment. So actually, there's nothing to be scared of unless we go and create it ourselves. Nothing can actually be done to us. So if we actually are creating our reality, we can create anything we wish. So therefore, we work out, how did I manifest this fearful or lack of trust or stressful situation? What's the core program, which there could be many layers behind it, which is what we deal with divine healing. We peel all the layers to get to the core of it. And when you peel that out, the fear's gone. And then you realize that was just an illusion, just in my mind. And a whole bunch of other negative emotions gone. And once you realize the power of what you've been creating that way, you start to think, well, therefore, if I can do that, I can create what I do desire. So that's when it gets really interesting.
Yes, absolutely.
See?
Yeah, and it becomes much more fun.
Well, it's about not taking ourselves so seriously in life, which we do around money. Money is very serious, and but actually having more fun and playfulness and happiness.
Yeah.
The New Zealand Prime Minister, she was at Davos. She made she was filmed on, I think it was yesterday or the day before, talking about the quality of life and happiness as being the true measures rather than money. And that's from a prime minister of a country saying that it should be the true measure. She wasn't talking about GDP and amount of money they made in New Zealand. It was quite amazing. So it's this sort of thing that's starting to get out there. If you guys want to look on my Facebook page, Nicholas David, and then I think Almira Ariel Heller, who used to work with me at the Centre for Conscious Ascension, she founded it with me. She posted that video. So things are changing.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. And you know, what comes to me now, I'm born and bred in Sweden, and actually so I wouldn't know exactly how it is right now, but you know, I grew up with the mentality of you're not going to work to live. You live, you need to go to work, but you're not living for your work completely. You know, you're living, you're having a good time, you have hobbies, you know, you're supposed to enjoy yourself. So the work kind of life balance is quite different. I think people work a lot in Sweden as well, but you know, comparing to the UK, I really realized that different nations have different ways of looking at life. But now that was something I really noticed coming to the UK, especially London. I would probably say more. It's a lot of imbalance this way, less fun. Very work.
Well, the pressure, because business is designed on maximizing return on investment, not maximizing return on happiness and quality of life, which is why you get the economic behavior and you get the high pressure living we have in the West. Whereas if it was focused on return on quality of life, you have a completely different society, and that will be involving a society of having self-love, will be actually live in more balance. It's one of the things I'm learning this year, actually. And if we actually live in more balance, I've noticed, actually the right amount of money turns up anyway, but I'm nowhere near as stressed. So I thought that's really interesting. I just took most of this week off from not working because I had a virus. But workshop bookings kept coming in, bills kept getting paid, and some big expenses are coming up, and suddenly the amount of money increased to meet those expenses. So I was thinking, someone else is in charge here. I just have to get out of the way. And so basically, God pays the bills. That's what I've learned. And get on with it. So,
we've got to relax.
Got to relax. But it's taken me a long time to trust that, because I normally think I've got to fill my time with sessions, and I'm not feeling well. And this is actually the first day back at work in about a week. And so it's about letting go. So having that self-love, that's another major thing for abundance, is that if we look after ourselves and not strain ourselves so much and treat ourselves, then the universe says, oh, you're loving yourself more, have some more, then more stuff turns up. So it's a complete anathema to the economic system, the way it's programmed, in terms of creating spiritual abundance, but actually in allowing self-love and spiritual abundance actually will bring you financial abundance, the practical side of actually having to pay the mortgage and pay the bills and feed the kids and all the other things that most of us have to go through. So actually it's a paradox, and then going more spiritual actually addresses all the 3D issues that were stressing us in the first place in a more graceful way.
And allow more to come in.
Yep.
Because we're in a better state energetically.
We're in a better state, yeah.
Yeah, in a better state energetically.
That's the key. You've got to be attractive to, not running around like a headless chicken trying to pay all the bills and do all the work, but trying to come into more balance. And then we become attractive to the universe. And the universe says, have some more. And we're going to give it to you in the easy way compared to what you're thinking you had to struggle and fight for it.
Exactly. I remember a post on Facebook at some point. So if you're stressed, like, you should meditate. It's a good idea to meditate 20 minutes a day. But if you're very stressed, meditate 40 minutes or 1 hour. Take more space for yourself. And actually, that is the right action.
I do that. If I'm under a lot of pressure, I will go and meditate, and just connect from what my mind is doing. And in meditation, we connect to higher consciousness, which is the key to answering all our challenges. The answers will come, because you can't transform challenge or karmic pattern at one level of consciousness with something from the same level. You've got to go to a higher level. And so you open to your own higher consciousness, and that will provide a solution. The key to work through the most challenging situations, which you at a lower consciousness level see as impossible. I've had that with some very difficult financial times, especially in the past. It was a solution that came out of nowhere because I meditated, basically, and connected, and then something just turned up out of the blue, and there it was. Thinking, well, that just changed the whole paradigm. Would never have thought of that at this level of consciousness.
No. I mean, I have a daily practice I do. If I don't do it, I don't really know what to say. So, that each day there is a new alignment, totally, to connect to high consciousness, so, that the work of spirit can come through.
And being grateful for what turns up, because gratitude opens the heart. It opens the connection to source, and it bypasses all the ego programming. And when you have that connection to source, divine grace comes in, and then more flow comes in. Actually, with that.
No, absolutely. If you open the heart and the gratitude, this is where you open the infinity, flow of energy, and the universe will then pour in. What you need in your life. Absolutely.
Yeah, it turns up.
Cool. So, as a daily practice to create more abundance in our lives, what would you recommend?
I have a process which I don't have time to do daily, but basically it's a sound meditation, and I do what's called a unified chakra. Jenny will post a video of this process in the YouTube description section of this video. But basically I do a unified chakra which opens my heart and connects me all the way back to source, the 14th dimension, So I'm merged with all the high dimensional parts of myself. So I'm moving into unity consciousness. Because when you're connected to all that is unity, then you can draw from that anything that is the soul desires. Not say you desires, the soul desires that you're connected to. Because if it's not aligned with the soul, it won't come, as we've said. And then I do a sound meditation based upon Wayne Dye's book, Manifest Your Destiny.
Yeah.
Which uses the sounds of God at sunrise and sunset. At sunrise, and the video takes you through this process, you make one of these sounds of God and you have a feeling in your heart and visualization of the manifestation that is in alignment with the soul as if it's already done. And that sound of oneness of God actually draws it to you. And you do that process. And the shift from dark to light at sunrise is very powerful for manifestation-wise. I've had stuff, like for example, I used to have sometimes things were slow. I'd do that, and within 5-10 minutes, the phone was ringing, people wanting to book sessions. And it'd been very quiet for the whole week. So
because of the when we do the visualization and the intention setting, we're sending out energy energetically into the universe, but with the sound together with that, it becomes more powerful.
Well, because you're activating the part of the oneness that you are, because you're just connected to it. When you feel one with everything,
because the sound is vibration, and
it will come to you because you don't feel separate. When you feel separate in a non-meditative state, nothing can come to you because you feel separate from it. But when you're one with it, all you're drawing is a part of yourself to you, and feeling gratitude towards that.
Yes, so you're just amplifying.
You're just just calling what's naturally there.
Visualization work if you're connected to all the things that we've discussed.
Yeah.
But obviously the sound make it more powerful.
Well, because it's activating the one sense of oneness because it's the sound of God. At sunset, there is a meditation of gratitude using the same thing, using the sound of Om. That's part of the Manifest Your Destiny process. So you're grateful for whatever comes to you. The video shows you of the process called Manifest Your Soul Purpose is much more thorough. It's about over an hour long.
Yeah, I'll post it in this video.
And when you're grateful for something, when you open to that gratitude, more stuff comes.
Yeah.
But then what we do in that process is that issues will come up because everyone sets their intention, even if you're just watching a video. We do some divine healing clearing of whatever programs you've gone and flushed out, hidden programs we've been talking about, the subconscious iceberg programs that have come up to stop your meditation, and then the video will help you clear it as well. So if you repeatedly do it, you're going to find whatever you're manifesting will probably start to turn up, provided it's in alignment with the soul and you're opening to the process. It's a very powerful process. That's actually how I create my life and my business.
Yes.
And if I'm in alignment, it is quite magical. Things just start to turn up. And you realize, actually, I am the spark of the creator. I don't have to wait for it to come. I can make it come. I'm in command.
Yes.
I'm sovereign.
Yes.
And that's a big shift because most of us feel at the mercy of the matrix of life. When you realize you can actually create whatever you wish, if it's in divine order, that's a complete shift in power.
Yes, absolutely.
Actually, our ability to create and manifest what we desire is the biggest secret that's been hidden from us as humans.
Yeah. Because
if we learn to do it together, and if we do it together, it's even more powerful because if the two of us did it, Jenny and I, it'd be 2 to the power of 2. It'd be a factor of like 4 people if we do something together. Absolutely. So you get a whole bunch of people together, it gets really powerful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it becomes a group.
Yeah.
Energy. So
enormously powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So play with that, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to post that. Yeah, absolutely. So people can they can try this process. Now, I'm going to see if there's any questions actually. What's the time? We're looking. I want to keep it in time. Yeah. Okay, so at the moment, let's have a look. So any Zoom members, please, if you want to post some questions, we are very, very happy to answer questions on Facebook. Let's have a look. Any questions? Right. Let's see. Okay. Any questions? No questions on Facebook yet. So we do encourage questions because this is your opportunity to get live answers. So please see if you've got any questions. If not, there's nothing in the Zoom, I don't think.
I can't see any.
No, I can't see any.
We'll just continue. We'll just continue.
Yeah. So, Facebook viewers, you're very welcome to post your questions. So Sophie is saying that it's quite weird that number 4 and number 13 are respectively considered unlucky in China. But that's just because she knows that from working there. But I suppose numerology, well, you can answer this.
Well, the 13 and 4 are just English number labels for a Hebrew frequency.
Yes.
What we call Mem and Dalet. So it's not it's just a label that we will recognize in English. So it's a Hebrew frequency we're talking about, really. It's not a pure 13 in the superstitious Chinese sense at all that we're talking about.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different.
Yes.
Having been brought up Chinese, I understand the superstitious nature of it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's actually 6 o'clock. Is there anything, Nicholas, you would like before we round it up? Because there was no questions today, which is fine. But if the whole world was listening now, they might be. What would you say? What's your message? One sentence.
Well, the key to creating more abundance is just to be as present with yourself and grounded in the moment at a feeling state, and moving out of the head into the body, and feeling what is the next right action that's going to increase your consciousness. It's going to open your heart. It's going to open you to higher consciousness, and I'm going to align you to the soul. And as you progressively do that, open to higher consciousness and align to the soul, and allow that high dimensional energy to come through, then it will create a different life for you gradually, a magical life, a joyful and fulfilling life. That's what actually happens, and that's the most abundant thing you can have lots of fulfillment of love and great connections with those around you and those you love. That's true abundance, and everything will be provided on an as-needed basis. What happens when you're on this path, and then actually there's nothing to worry about in the end, because it will just turn up. It's more, how's the game going to play out today? Who's going to turn up to play with? That's what I would say.
Yeah.
That's a sort of a simplification of a long process that I've learned the hard way.
Well, that's really amazing, because although it's not a shortcut, there is a lot of knowledge that you've shared today that can give people a bit of a head start, really.
Yeah.
So you don't have to stay where you are not knowing what to do. There is a solution. Absolutely. Yeah.
And we'll post a link called yourawakeningtoolkit.com on the video description, which you can access.
I think so. There's some people left in the. You want to take? What I'll do, I'll post it now. There's some people left in the Zoom call, so they might want to have it now. So should I just post the links now, and then I'll post it on the video afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do that now. Okay. So thank you everybody for attending. I'm just trying to get this now done. Thank you everyone for attending. And next week I don't think it's going to be the last time you are with me here, Nicholas, but it's the last time for this round. And we're talking about how Ascension will empower you to live your purpose. So it's all about purpose next week, which I think it's a very hot topic too. So I've put everything in there now. Yeah?
It'll be fun.
That will be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Why we came to find that purpose and manifest it.
Yes.
It's a hidden mystery thing that we all look for as light workers when we first wake up. So we can talk about how to find it.
It's like the portal to everything.
Yeah, it's how to actually make life really happen. Yeah.
Yes.
Looking forward to it, Jenny.
Oh, so lovely to have you. So I'll catch you next week then, Nicholas. And thank you
for having me. Thank you everybody who attended and is watching.
Yeah, thank you. Lovely to have you.
All right.
See you
Bye.
soon. Bye. Bye-bye.